if you are a college student, a high school student, or even trying to study for any kind of exam, this video is definitely for you. I'm going to teach you all the tips and tricks that I use to study and get through pharmacy school. Hey guys, it's Dr. Mona, and today's video is completely inspired by you. This video came from inspiration from a different video. One of the things I said in there was I wished I had learned how to study in high school the way I learned in college, because I could have, gotten straight A's with flying colors and gotten a full scholarship, because you don't realize until you get into college how easy high school was. And from that, a lot of you guys left in the comments and sent me messages like, can you teach us how you studied and how you learned to study? So I'm thinking a lot of you watching this might be college students, even high school students, and I really want to give you some pointers, because from my freshman year when I did not know how to study up to by the time I finished my 6 years of pharmacy school, I was an absolute pro. I literally went to my dad's, I pulled out all my old notes. I'm honestly even crushing over them because they're so pretty. So I want this to be you in years when you get to look back on your notes and, reference them, especially if you're studying something that's like technical or like a licensed field. Like, it's so nice to have everything to go back to. And if you have any kind of major where you're gonna have to have a board exam, you're gonna need all these notes at the end. So let's go through all the little tips. So the first thing I wanna show you, most of the time, hard to open this. Most of the time in college, when you go into a lecture or a class, they'll usually give you the notes already like on a PowerPoint. But this is not all you need. So if you were to just study these notes, you're not gonna do well in the exam. It's basically just like a general outline, and then when you're sitting in the lecture, usually they will go into detail and explain what each thing is. So you've got to have these ready, and you have to have a pencil, not a pen, because you need to erase, and if you mark off, it's just gonna make it too messy. So you go through, you're writing your notes while they're talking. By the way, this is also a great time to bring a recorder into class. We had this one guy in my class who was so amazing because he would record every class and then put them online for us. He had this website. So even if we wanted to skip a class, we could always listen to all of our lectures, because our pharmacy class was only like 300 people or something. So we were all really close, and that was really great. But anyway, recording can be really helpful. While you're listening to the notes, if there's something you miss or you can't hear and the teacher's going really fast, put a big star on it, a question mark on it, just move on and you can go back to it. So once you get home and you have that day's notes, anything that you have questions on, you have to ask a friend, a classmate, or ask your teacher and clear it up right there. You can even go back. Usually there's a textbook, or if you guys have online books you're using, to go back and reference and figure out what it was. But you have to make friends or friendly with some of your classmates, because you guys, you really need each other to pull through. We relied on each other so much. I'd be like, page 4, did you get what he said here? And we would always help each other out. It's just so important. So once you get all of that, then you go home. You've got all your notes out, read them. Really read through 1 or 2, 3 times, understand it. And once you have, let's say a 50% grasp of it, I'd say, then you go on to basically regurgitating them onto your own paper. So I like to use a specific kind of paper, which also makes a big difference. It has to be very, very light colored lines. I got an example here for you guys. When you're buying your lined paper, make sure that the lines aren't dark blue, because it just makes it harder on the eyes. And these are little things that I swear make a huge difference. One thing I'll say is some people are very visual versus some people just need to hear something and they understand it. I'm a visual person, so if I could see everything really clearly, literally I'm sitting in an exam and I can picture where it is on my paper. So things like this made a huge difference versus just white paper. The neater it is, it's kind of what I say about food in the fridge. When it's more aesthetically pleasing and it's more neat and perfect, you just want to look at it more, and you want it's more enjoyable. So that's how your notes are going to be. So then you basically take everything that's on this PowerPoint and you rewrite it on your paper, because these might not be to your preference, and this is where you can totally do this on your preference and what makes the most sense to you. Absolutely necessary to get colored pencils, markers, highlighters. You have to color code things, because again, it will just make it easier on your eyes. This is just, this really helps everybody. So for example, what I would do was I would outline the biggest things and underline all of those in blue, and then the subcategories I would underline in pink so that when I was looking, also if I had to like reference something back, I could just go look for like the bright pink one or whatever I had to see to like help me. So color coding is super important. Once you write all of your notes onto your paper, that's what you're going to be studying and going by. Then I have this trick that I do for like, I call it like lazy flashcards, but it's actually really genius and this completely helped me. So you basically, instead of taking flashcards, which you can lose or can get messy, on another piece of paper, you're gonna go through your notes one by one and literally every single fact. I know this sounds excessive, but this is why I did really bad my first year and why I passed and did well my other years. This is super important. Every single thing that's on like these notes, you have to write on here as a question. So this is gonna be, for example, this is when we were learning about pediatric patients when I was in pharmacy school. So preterm means under 38 weeks. That's what this says on here. They give you the category. So I would write preterm equals question mark. And I literally write this for everything. Then when I was done, I'd go through and I would just read the questions and have to like answer them. And you're pretty much just regurgitating everything that's on your note. So literally by writing them all out, it also saves time so you don't have to write the question and write the answer on the other side of the flashcard. This is kind of just a quick way to do it. And by the end, if you've memorized this piece of paper, you literally know every single detail in this PowerPoint or in your notes. My first year of college, I went into general chemistry and I was like studying like high school, or I didn't know. I like knew the basics of my notes and I kind of understood them, and I went and I was like, I'm gonna ace this. And I remember walking out, I think I got like a 69 or a 70 on the exam, and I thought I did so well. And the whole first semester was really hard because I was like, oh, you just need to kind of understand it. Like, no. In college, they will ask you the one detail on page 37A that you think like as long as you understand. No, they will ask you everything. So you really have to do this to make sure you're understanding everything. On the day of the final exam, either the night before or maybe that morning, depending on what time it was, I would take a new piece of paper and pretty much just write out my notes word for word without looking at them, because it was all in my head. I'd be like, okay, let's go through pediatric, let's go through geriatric, and I would just regurgitate everything I knew, even if it was out of order, and writing it down would help me memorize it. This is another thing, writing helps you so much. So it's almost like making a list or doing something. The more you write it, the more you see it, the better you're gonna be at it. So I hope this video isn't like scaring anyone, but these are really just the best tips to get you through school. I showed you a little bit of this one, but this is actually an exact example of my notes that I regurgitated the morning of or night before my exam. So I literally just went through, wrote everything out, and it looks super neat, like, but it's just because you know it so well at that point. And if you can get through all of this and write it all out and you have your own little abbreviations and everything, you're gonna feel so confident going into the exam because you just like have it. In terms of memorizing, I don't think I would have passed pharmacy school without mnemonic devices. Like, I don't know what it is about a mnemonic device. Basically, it's where you make up some kind of, for someone that doesn't know, you make up some kind of like word or song or abbreviation to remember. So if I had to remember like, you know, AB786 or something, I'd be like, Albert went to bed like, you know, at 6 o'clock, and you literally make this sentence, and it's just the way our brains work. Honestly, right now I'm studying Farsi. I'm trying to like really relearn and like perfect my grammar and just get better at it because I used to speak it fluently, and I'm using all of the same skills that I used for studying. I do the same flashcard trick. I do literally, I'm studying a language and I'll do mnemonic devices, and it helps me remember it in the moment when I'm trying to speak. So these habits are also really good because they stick with you like throughout life. I know a lot of like the millennial era and like college isn't as important as it used to be for a lot of people because there are a lot of jobs we can get without needing a degree. But for me, like I value it so much because it really instilled like work ethic and just these different like skills that I feel like I use in life. Even if like I'm not working as a pharmacist anymore, it's still things that like I carry with me, you know, throughout life. So that's it for the studying part. Little other tips, when you're spending like hours in a library or really studying for an exam, it's easy to kind of get distracted. I always found that I needed like a hot drink or something to snack on so that I was just kind of like occupied. Literally, some of the best ones are frozen grapes because they last you a long time and you can just keep having, it's like oral fixation. I used to love doing it with fresh cranberries, so not like cranberry sauce like you make on Thanksgiving, but if you go to the grocery store around fall time, you can get like the Ocean Spray fresh cranberries. Really sour, but I like them. Little crackers, like anything like that's somewhat healthy. Of course, I wasn't super healthy in college. I would definitely bring a whole bag of like Doritos, but looking back, it was really just having something to snack on, something warm to sip on, making sure you're really comfortable because the library can be really cold. So I would literally pack, you guys, I would pack a mini space heater in my backpack and sometimes a pillow. I was really extra, but I did what I had to do. Like even my roommates in college didn't have to study like that. Like they had other ways to get by, and like that's, you know, I wished it could have been like that for me, but that's just what I had to do. So for anyone who's struggling, I really recommend trying these because it will really help. And you're spending all this money on college and investing all this time, you might as well get the most you can out of it for those few years and then live the rest of your life with the benefits. So I hope this video was helpful. It's actually really fun because it's a little bit different and it shares a little bit about my background, and you know, I'm glad you guys were interested in it. So I'm really excited for the feedback on this one. I want to know if you guys love it or hate it or you want more like this. So definitely let me know in the comments. And obviously you can tell that I read your comments because this was strictly made for those of you who requested it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are in college, stay strong, work hard, like you'll get through it. Leave a comment with any questions, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.